You can't have a hot ghoul Halloween without the sexiest ghoul of all, shirtless and pantless, Seth Brundle. Because we're talking movies, we're talking The Fly, starring Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, and John Getz, written by Charles Pogue and David Cronenberg, who also directed. I got $100 as I can be either one of you. Here's my 100, and I get to take the lady home for the night if I win too.
I'm sure Typhoid Mary was a very nice person too when you saw her socially. Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? It is the last section of our Hot Ghouls of Halloween. We're going to be doing The Fly from 1986. And we have someone who actually makes, not just, she is a hot ghoul, but she actually makes real ghouls for the film industry. We have a special effects makeup artist, Katie. How do you say your last name, Katie?
Minnis.
Minnis. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, could you just bring us up to speed? You just got back from Los Angeles, did you not?
I did. Yeah, I did. I did get back from Los Angeles just a couple days ago, actually.
Were you like working on a film or?
No, I wish. I was just doing like a seminar out there. So it was, but I did have, I was, staying at a hotel with a bunch of the other people that were attending. So there was happy hour every night and we hit the hot tub. And so it was still fun when we weren't at the workshop.
So you are currently you're here in Canada, you're here in Toronto. Yes. You're working in the film industry. Is there any specific projects you want to talk about? Give us a bit of a history of like, how did you get into, FX specifically? Because there's lots of makeup artists out there, but you work in all the like prosthetics and all that jazz, right?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I work primarily in the indie world, primarily on horror projects, paranormal projects. I guess the most recent shows that have aired would be Eli Roth's Urban Legend, which just aired, I think on Discovery Plus here in Canada, and then Haunted Hospitals, which is I think on the Travel and Escape channel. So both shows, there's a ton of monsters, a ton of ghouls, a ton of demons, that kind of thing. And I enjoy working on indie projects because I get a lot more creative freedom to do a lot more fun stuff. A lot of the time they'll kind of give me an idea of what they want and they'll kind of let me run with it. So I get to be really creative on those kinds of projects. I do a little bit of union work as well, but I feel like my niche is more so the indie non-union world.
So you don't you wouldn't want to move over to would you guys be IATSE or NABAB or?
So those are the two film unions in Toronto. I'm part of both. I'm a member with NABET and I'm a permit with IATSE. And I've done some work being a member with NABET. I tend to get more work with NABET, but I haven't done a whole lot of, I haven't been thrown a whole lot of opportunities to do a lot of effects work in the union world. So most of my effects stuff has been through the non-union world. So
do you have your own FX company then? Like basically you could be hired as a contractor. Hey, like what's the scope of what you can do? Like if I'm like, I want a zombie, like what can you do?
So I actually have a buddy down in the States by the name of Jeff Taylor. He has a company called Infected Effects and he's actually in the military, but he has this side hustle of making these amazing prosthetics. So some of the time, if I need larger pieces, so for example, on one show I did like a Walking Dead zombie where I needed a full face piece, a full chest, like a full torso piece. I sourced those things from Jeff and it ended up looking, it was incredible, but I do make some things on a smaller scale. Like I had to make like a big Y incision autopsy incision for an episode of Haunted Hospitals. So I do make some of my own stuff, but a lot of the time I end up collaborating with Jeff and other prosthetic companies when I need to do things on a grander scale.
Scott, you got anything over there, man?
Oh, I was about
two-person show, so
I was gonna say, yeah, that's every time we have a guest, man. I always feel like the odd man out. But so, what got you into like special effects and everything?
Well, I've always been a horror fan. I grew up watching horror movies and reading Stephen King novels, and I've always been artsy. I've always been into, I've always done art and done theater and that kind of thing. So it just kind of seemed like a good fit for me. So I moved down to Toronto and did some courses at a makeup school in Toronto. And through that, I met some of my teachers, introduced me to some people that helped me get my first few jobs. And the rest is history, really. A lot of it is networking and hustling and making yourself available whenever an opportunity comes up. And I've just been really lucky over the last, I'd say 7 years or so. Met a lot of great people who have brought me onto a lot of fun projects. And yeah, it's been pretty good so far.
is there a direction you want to go? Like, is there like kind of like a certain project you want to work on, certain FX team or director, or like what's the future looking like for you? Like, what's your 5-year plan kind of thing?
Well, right now it's kind of been juggling, doing both union and non-union work. But yeah, I mean, I would love to keep going and maybe see if I can do some more work with NABET and IATSE, doing more special effects work, because truly I enjoy it. I also do beauty makeup as well. But I think overall I enjoy doing the effects stuff the most. So I think just continuing on, working on like higher tier projects and working with some, heavy hitter effects artists in the industry who have been doing it a million years, and learning from them and collaborating with them. And yeah, that's that's the goal. Just keep going, keep chugging.
Have you ever worked with Carlos over at the butcher shop?
Carlos was actually one of my teachers.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I've worked with Ryan, his business partner, on a feature at one point. And Carlos reached out to me a few times for a few projects, but I was already working. So I haven't actually had the opportunity to work with Carlos on set, but he did teach me. And so hopefully, I'm sure one of these days we'll end up on set together. It's a small world.
It is. They actually just had a film at the Toronto After Dark Film Festival. It ended up being a sold out Saturday show. So I didn't get a chance to see it because I wasn't lucky enough to grab a ticket. But they're doing great work. And I think that's so great that you actually know him and his team from school or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. They're both great guys.
Are you guys ready to talk The Fly?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, Scott, you guys take it away, man. You guys are the horror experts here, not me.
All right, Kris. Somebody once told me to make a good movie, you need 4 elements, man. You need a good producer, a good script, an imaginative director, and a cast to pull it off. And that's what we got here with The Fly. First, do you know that this is a Mel Books production?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he didn't want his name to be in the credits because he was concerned that people would automatically assume it was a comedy.
Yeah.
So you'll see Brooks films, and some people might make the connection, but I think a lot of people won't or didn't.
Opposed to say something like Spaceballs.
Yeah. Even something like, even the tagline for this film, like "Be afraid, be very afraid," was just an offhand comment he made while reading the script, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like it's used everywhere. And no, I didn't even realize it came from this fucking movie.
Yeah, I think most people don't realize that it originated in this movie, that catchphrase.
Yeah. You love this film, right?
Yes. Yeah, I love it. I've watched it Oh my God, I don't know how many times. I've lost track.
What do you like about it? Like, what is it that makes it really stand out? And I'm assuming you
Other than
watched
the
it.
Jeff Goldblum abs.
Yeah,
and
he gets
that
crazy.
nice
He does some
tight
crazy
ass.
gymnastics there too.
Yeah, well, I mean, first and foremost, obviously the makeup effects are incredible in this movie. I mean, they won the Oscar for makeup that year. I'm a big Jeff Goldblum fan. So I mean, that's another reason I love the movie. But it really pulls at the old heartstrings too, because I think like underneath it all, it's really a tragic love story. You know, between these two people. I mean, they fall in love and things just seem to be going great. And then he gets jealous, gets drunk, gets into the telepod with this fly, and it all goes downhill from there. So like his stupid, irresponsible decision was fueled by jealousy because he's dating this woman. But and then at the end, obviously, like I'm always in tears at the end, when she has to pretty much blow his brains away because he's just past the point of no return. So like it really like pulls at the emotions too. There's like a lot of different kind of themes and elements to the film. It's not just like a blood and gore slasher, which I love too. But yeah, it's there's a lot of different things going on, which I enjoy.
So this is a good segue into my quote. James Bernadelli from Real Views said, "The Fly is almost unique for horror movies in that it compels us to sympathize with and root for the main character." And I think that's kind of what you guys are talking about right now, is the fact that like he's the monster, but I would almost say that the true monster is the editor, right? Her other ex, you know what I mean?
He's an asshole. Yeah, he is. I mean, he really, swoops in, and offers support. And, towards the end, when she finds out that she's pregnant, and, he goes from being a jealous asshole to, realizing she's really, she's really hurting here. I mean, she's in love with this man, but he's mutating into this horrific creature.
No. Look away, I'm hideous.
He kind of, in my mind, puts his jealousy aside and is just there for her, and helps her through that, while he's just going downhill with his mutation. So, but no, he is I think the villain the villain of the film.
But he does have some of the funniest lines. Come on.
Yeah, he does.
Like when she was like, "I'm onto something big." He's like, "What, his cock?"
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Come on.
Classic. Yeah.
Or I mean, I guess if you really want to get kind of abstract with it, like you said, like jealousy and ego and vanity and these types of things, like driving him to, get drunk and then do this experiment. And, maybe if he wouldn't have been drunk, he would have like made, because he says, you got to make sure the space is clean, right? And he's like, and I missed the fly. And then boom, Grundle fly or whatever.
Well, that's just it. I mean, he's everything is going well, and he makes the breakthrough and figures out how to teleport living things. But then it's just,
I felt bad for that baboon. I'm like, yo, man, don't put, and then he says to the other baboon, he's like, "Oh, sorry, I had to kill your brother there." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I'm surprised the baboon that they used didn't like bite Jeff Goldblum's face off, because those things are vicious. But I guess he had the magic touch with that baboon, and that didn't happen. But
yeah, I was reading about it, like some trivia about this movie, and they were saying there was one scene where the baboon went off because of the lights and that.
Oh, really?
In the telepod, and Jeff Goldblum's the one that like calmed him down, because he was like almost 7 feet tall and he could like stronger than him. So the baboon was scared of Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
So he's like the baboon whisperer. But
do you know why you never see him at the baboon anymore at the ass end of the movie?
Because his agent wanted too much of a day fee, or what?
No, because the the scene's cut out, but there was a scene like after he finds out he was mutated with the thing, he puts the baboon and a cat together.
Yes.
And then he beats it to death with a pipe.
What? Why?
Because it fused. Yeah, it fused into like a little monster thing.
I think they cut that because they didn't want to take away from the audience sympathizing with Brundle. So yeah, they cut that.
Yeah, that's fucking awful.
I know, it is awful.
So, I mean, it sounds like you two, like, I mean, so you got Cronenberg directing this sucker. It's originally based on the 1957 The Fly in Playboy magazine by George Laglin. There was a 1958 film by Kurt Newman. How do you like I'm assuming you guys like Mr. Body Horror, David Cronenberg doing this film, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially when you realize who could have done this film. And that was Chris's favorite director, Tim Burton.
What?
Wait, what?
Tim Burton was up for this too.
No.
Because Cronenberg was supposed to do Total Recall. He was still doing
Total Recall, right?
Right. So they went to another director, but that director had a family tragedy.
Right.
And then Burton at one point was talked about too. And Michael Keaton for Seth Brundle. But then Keaton turned it down. Burton turned it down.
And then Gina Davis did Beetlejuice. So bing, bang, boom.
Yeah. I think they approached John Lithgow too to play Brundle, but he thought it was too brutal. It was too grotesque, so he turned it down.
Yeah. So the body horror. I do not like body horror. It is like my least. I'm tiptoeing into horror as it is, and body horror is the worst kind. So scenes that I could not watch. The baby delivery scene that's about 3/4 of the way through. I was like, nope, not watching that one.
That wasn't even bad.
Whatever. I was just like, I don't need to see what's coming out of that lady. When he's puking on hands and slurping up the goo, that also not my favorite at all.
See, I feel like I'm completely desensitized to everything. Because I watch a scene like that and I'm curious as to how they create. What is that? Is that like milk? Is that like vanilla yogurt with, I don't know, like tapioca? Like I'm always watching these things and wondering how nothing phases me anymore. I'm completely desensitized to everything.
Yeah, in terms of the body horror scene, the only one that fucked me up is the nail. Because that happened to me once, and that ripped. I had my nail ripped out, and I know how much that fucking hurt.
Hey.
So, do you like any other of Cronenberg's films? Like being a horror aficionado?
I think my other favorite was probably The Dead Zone.
Oh, because you like Stephen King.
Yeah. I really love The Dead Zone. I've read the book, and again, it's kind of somewhat of a love story there because he's in love. You guys are familiar with that film or that book?
Oh yeah.
Christopher Walken.
Yeah. So again, there's kind of some parallels in a way because he's in love with this girl. Things seem to be going great, and then he has this horrible accident, and he's in a coma for like 5 years. And he wakes up and his girl has moved on and gotten married and had a kid, and they kind of rekindle things a little bit on the down low. But he meets a tragic end as well at the end. So it's kind of similar in a way. It's definitely less horrific. But it is similar in a way.
Have either of you seen Dead Ringers?
I haven't seen Dead
by Cronenberg. It is one of the most like off-putting films. It's not as grotesque. It's sort of like how Cronenberg can do body horror, or he can do stuff like Eastern Promises and History of like really kind of violent and like just kind of pushes you on the edge of it, or Crash. So Dead Ringers is, I believe it's Jeremy Irons playing himself. They're playing two twin gynecologists that one of them starts to go a bit fucking batshit crazy. And I don't even know how to explain it. It's just super creepy. There's lots of like red gown, like hospital gowns, and it's just fucking unnerving. I don't know, Scott, how would you describe it? Like,
you've pretty much described it very well. It's one of it's kind of like I take it kind of like The Invitation too, right? Where like you're enthralled in it, that like it's starting to give you kind of like a little bit of anxiety when the shit starts happening, right? Like you feel that shit. That
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's
So this is a pretty can film, as Scott likes to say. I mean, Cronenberg's from Toronto. His DOP, Mark Irwin, is also for Toronto, who worked on Scanners and Videodrome, The Dead Zone. He also worked on Young Bloods. Like, I think that was Keanu Reeves' first film. And he's the DOP on Scream. And it was filmed here in, well, we're not in Toronto, but it was filmed in Toronto, Ontario. So way to go, Cronenberg, for, showing the city of Toronto.
yeah, you see the CN Tower in it.
You do during the dream sequence when like they take her to the hospital. Yeah, that's like shortly before. Yeah, she gives birth to the maggot. Yeah, you see the CN Tower.
This movie's fucking gross, man. Okay, listen, I want to ask something. I don't think the pacing's off. It is. I mean, it's an early '80s film, so it's got a different pacing than we have right now. But they fucking get like super serious, super fast. Like first they're hanging out. She's like doing some stuff. She's like, oh my God, look how big your brain is. Boom. They have the sex. Next thing you know, he's turning into a monster. And she's like, I can't leave the monster because I'm in love with him. I'm like, didn't like 3 days fucking happen? Like how many fucking days went by?
No, it was months.
Later in the film, he says, I haven't been able to talk to you for 3 weeks, blah, blah, blah. But like up to that point, like it feels like it was just like, boom, sex, science brain, love.
Yeah. Happens pretty quickly.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
But they're spending a lot of time together. I mean, like she's there all the time filming his process. So, it was probably inevitable that something was going to happen.
And that big brain, man. She just couldn't get enough of that big brain.
Nice.
I like that scene when they're like having sex after he starts turning into the fly. And she's just like, yo, man, I gotta stop. And he's like, come on, just a little more. Little more, and then he's eating like sugar. Nom 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 nom.
Yeah, I think that like in terms of the choices Cronenberg made, I think that's what's better is like once he starts like the fusion, right? Everything was subtle, right? Like that scene when they're in the diner and he's just having that cappuccino and you're just watching him talk and he's just like pouring the sugar, right? She makes the offhand comment like, you want some coffee with that sugar?
Yeah.
He just drinks it and then he's like, now I need a cannoli, right? Like you can see the subtle changes and stuff, and the fact that he didn't realize it and he just thinks everything's great, it just makes it kind of scarier too once it comes to the end, right?
So Scott, I don't know, do you have this in your notes? They must have used like a gymnast body double for when he just like starts getting fucking crazy up. Listen, I'm backflips and shit, right?
I'm not counting any money against fucking Jeff Goldblum, man.
This is true.
Like I saw those abs, like fuck. Like I would not be surprised if he did that shit in terms of like wire work.
But you know what? I bet that they just got a stunt performer just simply because they didn't. I mean, maybe Goldblum said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do my own stunts," but like just the insurance, and they were probably like, "No."
Oh, come on, this is the 80s. What's insurance?
Remember, they used to smoke on set. There was no insurance didn't matter.
Like those are all real cigarettes.
Yeah.
True.
That was a real chimp and a real teleporter. Anything else you guys want to like talk about this film? Like, I'm assuming you guys both recommend this film.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no, for sure. Anyone who is a fan, I mean, this is a classic. This is probably this film, The Shining and The Exorcist are probably my top.
We don't talk about that movie.
Which one?
It's scary. We don't talk about it.
We will talk about The Shining.
We'll talk about The Shining, but not the other movie you mentioned. Then
okay.
I got to be able to go to sleep tonight. So,
are you okay? So, Kris, you are a horror fan, right?
I'm getting into it. I mean, I'm writing. I have a short kind of thriller, and we actually start working on a feature slasher, which now because I've been watching some like Giallo. I've been watching Giallo films, and I'm like, oh, I kind of want like a Giallo perspective to it because it's very cinematic and stylish. But yeah, we have like a slasher that we're going to be writing. So I'm watching horror as just like, you gotta do your fucking homework, right? So, but I'm like the drama film guy, right? Like I'm like the super arty one.
Okay.
Horror usually makes me scared. I don't do zombies. I don't do the movie that you just talked about. So,
Because I was gonna say you're doing a horror podcast, but you're like, oh, this movie's so fucking gross, and oh, we're not talking about the.
I know, and this is like the tamest one out of everything.
Yeah, we don't actually have a horror podcast. What we have is a movie podcast, and we're doing a series called
Halloween.
Hot Ghouls of Halloween, right? And
Makes
you
sense.
are a hot ghoul, and you make like ghouls. So we thought that was kind of perfect.
Cool.
So before we let you go, is there anything else you want to say? We can also, how do you want people to contact you? Do you want people to contact you?
Sure. Yeah, no, I've got my Instagram page. I'll admit it. I'm not a tech savvy girl. I haven't gotten into TikTok yet. I really need to get on that bandwagon, but I do have my my special effects page. If you just search my name, it's pumpkinhead_effects_art. But if you just search Katie Minnis, you'll see a photo of a rotting corpse face, and that's me. You can't miss me. So if you want to check out my work and get in touch, you can reach out to me that way for sure.
Well, and we'll definitely throw hyperlinks in our show notes. So anybody's listening, you can just scroll down to those show notes in the YouTube video or online, and you'll be able to go directly to her work. Thanks so much for coming out. Scott, do you have anything else for Katie?
Yeah, just thank you so much for coming on. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, getting Kris to watch some more horror. It's always a good thing.
Amazing. Yeah, it was great being here. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Ciao. Yeah, you as well.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, Scott. I mean, this movie is super gross and super creepy. They do a great job. The acting's fantastic. Again, I think there's a bit of a pacing problem right in the beginning, but they do have to develop that romance, right? So you have some type of pathos for the character.
Like I will I'm going to disagree with you in terms of the beginning. I think the fact that this movie opens on a cold open where you're already in the middle of a conversation between the two, I love that, right? Because it's just like you're just fucking jumping into these people's lives, right?
It's like you're a fly on the wall.
Exactly. Like I'm pretty sure that's the reason, because it's just like, well, I think that's what he meant to do, because the whole theme here. But I think you're wrong. I don't think it was 3 days. I think it was about 4 or 5 months of them together.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay. That's possible. And they just kind of gradually fall in love or whatever.
Yeah. But there was
Kris,
a lot
and
of
I don't know what love is. So
yeah. There was a lot of like, you knew, like that comment when she was like, I'm on to something big. You knew that's what she really meant.
That's actually what she meant. And she's like, oh yeah, he does science too. I totally fucking forgot about that part.
Yeah, totally.
7 feet tall. We know what's going down.
Yeah.
He is. I mean, the critics tend to agree with you, and same with the audience. It's got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, 83 from the audience. It's 96-minute running time, so it's in kind of my sweet spot. I got a $9 to $15 million budget and making $61 million at the box office.
It's the Brooks Films. I think it's their biggest. It's the biggest feature. Like that. This one is the one that made the most money. I've never watched the sequel, and I don't think I ever want to watch a sequel either.
Yeah. I don't think you need to. Again, there seems to be a pivot point in Cronenberg's career where, because you've got like Rabbit and Scanners, and then like I said, he does, well, and obviously Videodrome, and then maybe it's around Dead Ringers and Crash, he starts to move off of body horror. He does History of Violence and Eastern Promises. But I meant to ask her, have you seen Crimes of the Future?
Not yet. It's on my like queue to
just
watch.
The fucking trailer. I'm like, fucking body horror Cronenberg motherfucker. Like, It looks so creepy. All right, Scott, you got anything else?
No.
All right, man. That's all for me.
And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com. I do have something like just to say like how fucking awesome Mel Brooks is. Like when Cronenberg was available, he was like, I want $750,000 to make this movie. So they're like, okay, we're gonna counter you with $1 million.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's like, who goes up?
I want that. I want to go to my boss and be like, I want $1 raise, and they're like, no, we're giving you 5.
Exactly.
Fuck
right?
that! I asked for 1. I'm out of here. Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.